A Storyteller's Journey by Nicole K. Delis. Once upon a time, a strange start for an autobiography, I'm sure, but there is a reason. I love stories. Ever since I was a little girl, seated on my mother's lap or balancing on my father's knee, I would always beg them to tell me stories. Some of those stories told by my mother were the traditional ones, like Little Red Riding Hood, Hansel and Gretel, Cinderella, and Snow White. The other stories were not so traditional. This came from my father. He loved comic books and science fiction, and he shared that love with me from a very young age. So, it only seems fair that I begin this journey using the words that always gave me joy. Once upon a time, there was a soldier named Joseph Delis. He was stationed in Germany. There he met a young German woman named Angelica Swoboda. They fell in love and got married. 3 years later, on March 27, I was born. My parents are good, kind, and generous people. They are both very smart. My mother speaks 5 languages, and my father studied law and eventually became a lawyer. 3 years after I was born, my sister Ariane was born. 3 years after her, my brother Joey was born. Being the eldest of the 3 turned out to be a rewarding experience. It made me strong and extremely protective. I learned what it meant to be a leader and gave me the patience to weather out tears and temper tantrums. Being part of a multicultural family had its benefits. Since I was born from a German mother and a Puerto Rican father, I grew up learning from 2 unique cultures at the same time. I also learned to embrace the cultural differences they had. As a result, I can speak and understand 3 languages: English, Spanish, and German. I grew up for the most part in Puerto Rico. However, when you have a military father, you also move around a lot. I lived in Kansas, Panama, and I also traveled to Europe a lot to visit my mother's family. Being the eldest sister was what probably helped me decide my professional goals. It is sort of automatic, isn't it? When you're the eldest, you're looked up to for guidance. You are a role model whether you want to be one or not. I've always been the person that loves to help people, especially small children. So after graduating from high school, I studied elementary education and reached my goal of becoming a teacher. Another goal I embrace is becoming an author. For as long as I can remember, I loved reading stories and I especially loved writing them. Making up stories started out as a fun thing I did on my own. When I was little, I would make up stories to entertain my younger brother and sister. At first, I would draw pictures to tell a story. Then, as I got older, I would write them. After that, I began to write short stories and post them on the internet. When people from all over the world told me that I was a good storyteller, I started to write more and more. I had a secret dream in my mind. Someday, I would write my own books. So why do I call myself a storyteller, and what does it mean? A storyteller is someone who has a story to tell and finds a way to share it. I am a storyteller because I write stories based on my experiences. I am a storyteller because I live every word I write. I am a storyteller because my goal is to write so you can enjoy what you read.